Thank you, dear viewers, for staying with us here on Nile Cruise. I guess we have for you a very interesting topic now and a very distinguished guest, as we will be talking about bridging gaps between parents and teenagers, how to best bridge this gap in the technological revolutionary world that we live in. There is definitely a gap. I mean, parents' times are very different than their children's and their grandchildren's times. So this is a very important issue, a very sensitive one as well. I hope this will be interesting. Our dear guest is Dr. Sherif Hosny, and he's a self-management and development manager. Thank you very much, Dr. Hosny, for joining us. A great pleasure to have you. Now, so it is a big topic. It is something that many parents suffer from. They would tell you, you know, there is a gap between us and our kids. And it's something that the children will also tell you, you know, my father doesn't understand. You know, you're way too old and stuff like that. And so how do we bridge the gap?
As we say, most of us say this, there is no language between us. There is no common language between the parents and our children or sons and daughters to understand each other.
And this is a global phenomenon.
Yes, it's a global one. I think, in my opinion, one of the reasons is the difference in age, and we as parents think that we have the knowledge, we have the experience, we know better, we know more, and it's our right to tell them what to do, not how to do. It's very important to know our role. Our role as parents is to guide them, not to force them to do what we want them to do. Is to tell them how to choose, how to decide, not what to choose or what to decide. One of the important things also, not to tell them, in your age I did so and so and so. When I was
yeah, of course, this phrase is always said. You know,
when I was in your age, yes, I was the best in school. I was the best in college. I'm always asking, who was the worst in college? Yeah. Who was the worst school? Yeah. One of us was, okay? So don't tell them. Me, by the way. Even me, okay? But most of us was average. Not all of us was the best.
It's only logical.
Yeah, it's logical to be average. This is the rule, or the statistical rule, to be the average, not always the best. But if you tell your children always, you have to do the best. You have to be the best. If you're not the first one in the class, you are a failure. This is not the truth. It's not the truth. We have the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and this is one thing. The other thing, don't tell them to achieve your dreams. I have dreams, or I had dreams, okay? Either I achieved them or not. If I achieved my dreams, I will not force my children to do the same. If I didn't achieve my goals or my dreams, sometimes I put my dreams in my children. You have to do this. Suppose I wanted to go to the medical school. I'm a medical doctor, by the way, so I went already, okay? If I didn't go, when I have a son or a daughter...
Part of the reason that you went to medical school is that your father wanted you to do that, isn't it?
To be real?
Say the truth,
yeah,
please.
To be true, yes.
So, Dr. Hosny, what is happening here is that for decades, for many generations, maybe going back hundreds of years, there was this relationship between father and son, and this continuity in the field, maybe of work or something. But something happened in this generation because, again, of I would say I don't know if I'm describing it correctly, but the technological or the technology revolution that happened, the world has really changed in the last 20 years or so, or maybe 30 years. I mean, change was very slow for decades, for centuries.
Yes.
For centuries, change was slow.
I agree with you with this.
But in the last, you know, even few years, not only decades.
The last 10 years, maybe. Yes, the last 10 years, maybe.
Huge change. So maybe this is normal. Okay. I mean, to have this gap.
Okay, let me tell you a secret.
Again, it's a global phenomenon.
Okay, let me tell you a secret or something. When my father wanted me to go to the medical school, he never told me so. He was intelligent enough
to make it indirect, to put it as an indirect message.
Like the college, and I choose it myself. And when I grow up and told him, you are the reason I went. No, you chose it by yourself. You didn't choose anything else, and I didn't force you. No,
But
he
he was
forced me
smart enough to-
indirectly.
Yeah.
Okay? Allah yarhamu. He forced me indirectly. Now we are forcing them directly. I want you
Not
to be,
all of the parents are doing that.
most
Not
of
all
us, I want you to be an engineer. I want you to be a doctor. I want you to be a journalist or so and so and so. This is your dream. It's not his dream. It's your role as a parent to tell him how to choose his future, how to choose his career, not what to choose. Not to tell him this is the best for you. Maybe it's not the best for him. How many young people now go to colleges and they stop and they change again the college he went to, and
lot,
this
a lot.
will make a very big conflict with his parents.
Okay. Is it because again this is a difficult issue to even discuss? I mean, sometimes you see a skill in your child. I mean, you see that your son or daughter are skilled at, say, mathematics,
Yeah.
say, in sports, say, in computer use, whatever. So it's only normal that if you see your son very good at math, that you would really want to push him into engineering. It's normal. If you see your daughter beating all of her peers in sports, for instance, in swimming, it's only normal that you would want her to take the path of, you know, professional swimming and so on. So I mean,
there is a difference between the two phrases you said now.
yeah.
It's normal to push him, or it's normal to want him. Okay? There's a difference between pushing. Pushing means that all the time, you have to do this. It's your best to do this. Why not to tell
you
him
are for-
indirectly
Yeah, you are against pushing,
against forcing?
against forcing.
Pushing mean forcing.
Okay.
All young people, even us, when we were young, we hate forcing and pushing.
Absolutely, absolutely, that is correct.
This
but
age-
what if you feel that they are not doing enough of an effort in something they could be really great at? So, you know, they are lazy, maybe. They are talented but lazy. They are smart but they don't study. So you are pushing for them to be successful.
Okay.
You don't want them to get used to, you know,
I want to ask, and I will answer the question, okay? Did forcing make or reach the goal we want to do?
Sometimes.
Percentage of forcing, and did they or achieved the goal we want? I think it's a small percentage, or even if it is higher percentage, most of our children hate that we did this for them.
Dr. Hosny, yes, it's normal to you know, to believe that pushing is something bad, but sometimes when you push your child, they achieve results, and because, you know, he or she are talented, and you don't want them to fail just because they are lazy or because they want to do easier things. Or
Are they lazy, or they are still young to know their talents? Why not to tell them or show them that they are talented in this area, not to push them? My problem is, or my opinion, most of us, when we were young, we were rebellious, okay? We don't want to anyone to tell us what to do. I have
It's
my
nature.
yes,
It's nature.
I have my personality, I have my ego, okay? Why to do the same with our children, to make them, or teenager children, to make them refuse what we want?
but
okay?
we were forced by our parents in
I
many,
know
in
we
many
were forced.
cases.
I
in
know we
many
were forced.
instances.
I know
So-
one of
so-
my
so-
relatives,
yeah.
okay, she's 30 years now, she's always telling her father, you're the one who did this for me.
So
and now,
maybe it's normal for parents to do with their kids as they have been treated by their own father and mother.
the normal is not always right, okay?
That's true. Yeah,
Sometimes
that's
the
true.
normal is not right. Why not to think in a different way, in a different style, how to deal with our sons and daughters to reach the goal we want? Is the concept more important, or the goal is more important, or the way to reach the goal is the more important? Which is more important? In my opinion, to reach the goal, this is the important, okay? The important thing. So if you please think in different ways to reach your goal. If this way leads to a conflict, leads to a gap, as you said in the start of the interview. If this leads to a gap, if you please, try to change the way you are dealing with your children. The most important is not to have a strong fatherhood personality, that I am the father. When I say something, you have to listen, you have to do, you have to obey. No, my goal is to make my sons and daughters happier, better, feel better, know that I love them. They are the most important things in my life, okay? If this technique doesn't lead to what I want, if you please change the way you think, change the way you are doing. One of the things, if you please, try to lessen or to minimize the great phrase of, when I was in your age, I obeyed my father. I didn't tell him no for anything. Try to remember, were you happy then, when you always said yes, 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 and didn't disagree? I don't think.
Sure.
I think we were not that happy. Obedience without making our mind work is not a good thing. Again, we want to teach them how to choose, not what to choose. How to decide, not what to decide. We have to build their characters to be good personalities in this community. We need to raise our community to a better level. As we're doing these days, we want our community to be better. How to be better? If we raise children, always obey. No, why not to think? How to choose my career? If he chose a college and I see he's not talented in this, why not to try, and after a year he changes his college? Why not? We have this luxury now, okay? In our age, in our time, we didn't have the luxury to change our study.
Yeah.
If you remember.
You would lose years.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, you would lose years.
Losing 1 or 2 years is better than losing my future.
Absolutely,
It's
sure.
better than living a future that I don't like.
Sure. What about the kids themselves? I mean, the teenagers themselves, because I mean, unfortunately, we're running out of time. I'm really enjoying this discussion, but
Thank you
we
very
only have
much.
2 minutes left. So,
Thank-
what about the teens themselves, the teenagers? What is required from them? Because they cannot. Also, they have the right to do what they see they can be successful in, but at the same time, they don't have the right to disrespect their
Okay.
parents, and this happens from many teenagers nowadays.
I want to tell them, maybe we don't know the good way or the good way of communication with you, but this doesn't mean that you don't listen to me. This doesn't mean that you don't obey what I'm saying. This doesn't mean that you don't respect what I'm saying. Please try to sit with each other, we as parents and you as teenagers, to find a way of good communication. We are not always wrong, and you are not always right. And the opposite. I am not always right for myself, and he is not always wrong. We have to find a way of communication. To find this way, we have to communicate and cooperate with each other as parents.
I really
and
like what you said, but
teenagers.
you know what? When they sit together in the end, each one will commit to his opinion.
Okay.
The father and the son, or the mother and the daughter, and so on.
Because we are running out of time, I will say this as the end. If we are going to sit with each other, we are sitting not to know who is right. We are sitting to know what is right. There is a big difference between, if we are discussing something with each other, if I'm going to prove that I am the right one, I will always compete with you. But if I am going to discuss what is right, maybe I will take some of what you said, some of what I am said. So the most important is what is right, not who is right.
Absolutely. And just sitting together and talking is in itself a gain.
It's a fun.
Yeah,
It's something
absolutely.
good. Yeah.
Absolutely. at least for parents.
Yes.
So
This is
fun
right.
for,
This
yeah,
is right.
for
And the
parents,
teenagers
but-
don't know this.
Yeah.
They think that we want to sit with them to tell them what to do.
No,
sometimes
we miss sitting
yes,
there with them.
yes.
And for the teenagers, at least if it's not fun now, at least it will be useful in the future. I mean, it doesn't have to be useful now,
Yes.
but they will remember this when they grow up. Dr. Sherif Hosny, Professor of Management and Self-Development, thank you very much.
Thank
It's been
you
a
very
great
much.
pleasure having you with
Thank
us.
you very
Thank
much.
Hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Dear viewers, please stay with us. My dear colleague Rana Al-Assas will be here momentarily on Nile Cruise.